New for 96. With your hosts, Kevin McCauley and Chris Nguyen.
So I was like, I'm going to buy these headphones finally and cancel the noise.
Did you buy them from Sky Mall?
Yeah.
I hope you did.
No, but I got them and used them the following week, and they were amazing.
Oh my God.
Very good.
Where did you use them?
On the plane the next week going to Denver.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess they're good. I would get the ones where you can hear them even when they're on your head if you're sitting next to me, so that you can share the love of music with everybody.
Yeah.
Which I feel like people, I guess that's better than the people who listen to like things without headphones.
People are not ready. Like, society is not ready to have...
For air travel?
To have a speaker on them at all times. Like, it was too much responsibility for most people.
Yeah.
And I remember being on a plane, and there was a guy, and he was watching a movie next to me without headphones, just through the speaker. And I was like, are you going to be watching this the entire time? And so he turned the volume down to as low as possible. I think maybe he turned on captions.
How does someone not own a pair of headphones for, like, traveling?
Well, if you have an iPhone 7 or newer, it's not a matter of owning the headphones.
That is also true, I guess. Whatever.
Yeah.
So I've twisted your knobs. I think you're sounding okay now.
I'm cutting that phrasing out.
All right, no.
Okay.
Don't censor me. Hey, Kevin.
Hello, Chris.
How has your last 2 weeks been? That was really
it's been,
loud.
It's been good. Yeah, you're off the scale,
Off the
like
scales.
I've been saying.
Yeah. I'm always off the scales, readjusting my mic here. Yeah.
How was yours here in Houston?
Here in Houston, it's been hot
Mm-hmm.
and rainy
Really?
a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sprinkle here and there, but fine otherwise. So I think 2 of my cars need batteries.
Really?
But yeah, because the date stamp, I've been noticing slower starts on the 911 and the Celsior, and the date stamps are like 5 years plus.
Oh.
Yeah, so I think it's probably time, and I really don't want the starter and the Celsior to go out because it's in the V.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that would be tremendously annoying.
Battery is cheaper than a starter. I don't know if a fresh battery helps the starter, but I guess it would.
I mean, yeah, in theory, if it's,
You're taxing it less.
Yeah. But every time they do like a load test at like AutoZone, they're like, no, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all.
Better throw money at the non-problem.
Yeah. And I've been like obsessively researching it's dumb because I don't think it really makes a difference. Like there's a regular old like Interstate in the 911, and then there's some weird Japanese brand in the Celsior.
Mm-hmm.
So Panasonic, have you heard of it?
I have.
Magnet box?
I don't remember though. So my 911, I had to put in like a special one because of that foot thing.
There are sizes. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But the thing is, you can't order them online, right? You have to go to a place to buy them. I don't want to go to like a shop where it will be like $900. So we'll see. I'm just gonna have them try it out at AutoZone and plug it in. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So shall we actually introduce the podcast this time?
We could.
I guess. Hello and welcome to New for 96.
You were flat.
Yeah, always. Yeah, so you just came back from Denver.
Yeah. Portland by way of Montana by way of Denver.
Yeah, go on about this trip because it was kind of cool.
Yeah. So rewind. You may be thinking you're listening to an episode from 3 months ago when I went from Denver to Portland with Daniel Sloan. But we were in an E46 wagon that had the M3 engine and all sorts of things. So the whole time on that trip, because that car was Orient blue, it was very dark, and I complained about photographing it. And I said, this car is black. This car sucks to shoot. Why did you buy a black car?
Yeah.
Things like that for 3,000 miles,
Really
2,000 miles.
making him feel secure about his purchase.
Yeah. Everything else about the car was great.
Yeah.
So I said, no. I said, hey, like, because he had this giant list of things he wanted to fix on the car and do different. It was kind of like a track build sort of thing. And he envisioned it as a rally car. Yeah. And so he wanted to, he just bought the car. It was not inexpensive, but he already had a laundry list of things to change. And I was like, well, you're changing things. Yeah. What if you made it like Phoenix yellow? What if you made it Laguna Seca blue? What if you made it some like bright, weird color? Because it's this weirdo car. Yeah. There's no other E46 wagon quite like this. And, he's like, I don't really know if I want to spend money on a paint job for something that's going to get beat up with gravel and whatnot, which makes sense. And the whole time he was also thinking, and we spoke a few times in the months since about he wanted to buy a track car. Yeah. An M3 coupe for the track. Yeah. An M3 that his convertible M3 and wagon M3 needs would not satiate. Yeah. So I said, okay, I was like, yeah, I support this. He laid out his reasonings, like he wants to do some track days and stuff, and his cars are, honestly, like unsuitable. Yeah. You don't need the fastest car, but you don't want to have a convertible just for safety reasons, and you'd have to put a roll bar in and stuff. And you don't want this wagon, which I think would be kind of wasted on a track because it's going to have a build for gravel. Yeah. So he's looking at coupes. He bid on one on Bring a Trailer, and it was gray. Yep. And then he found another one, and I think it was in Denver, and it was gray with cinnamon interior. Yeah. And he's like, this one's pretty cool. And I was like, but it's not a fun color. Yeah. And there was one that was Phoenix yellow, also in Denver, too much money. He's like, I like it. He's like, I could always get one later. He's like, this one's pretty nice. It'd be a shame to like upgrade parts on it because it's a pretty clean stock Phoenix yellow car. And so Phoenix yellow is the weirdest color offered on the M3. And it was like this gold, green, yellow, metallic color.
Extremely unique.
Extremely unique. I mean, people would say it looked like baby puke or whatever, or worse. But the fact is, it was an iconic E46 color. All the marketing materials were in that color. Yeah. You never saw them, but when you do, it's like, wow, that is super unique. So I was hoping he would get the Phoenix yellow car. He told me it's just out of the question. The price, like, it was too much of a premium for just this color. Like he could get a much better, or, an equal car. Yeah. Just as well sorted in a gray, which is still a fine color. Yeah. And save some money, and then strip it out or do whatever he's gonna do to track it. Yeah. So he tells me he's buying this car, and he's like, I know this is happening again. It's in Denver again. Do you want to come and drive it? And he's like, I've got a route, and we'll drive it, and now we could go through Wyoming and Montana, because when we did this before, it was March. It was too much snow, or risk of too much snow or a blizzard. Yeah. So I said, yeah, I'll go. Why not? I'm not doing anything better. Yeah. I say that. It sounds like in jest. I'm actually serious. But anyway, so I fly out to Denver last Saturday, and we're texting. He's, meet me here, at the... He always has to get clever, so it's like, meet me at the departures, at the drop-offs. Yeah. So I go out there, and I see Daniel, and I see this unmistakably Phoenix yellow M3, and I just lost my mind. Yeah. It was so cool. I felt instant guilt, like I bullied it. I mean, instant, and I say instant, but make no mistake, it lasted throughout the next 8 days. The guilt of, I pressured you into buying this car in this weird color.
You did. You're kind of a car bully.
Hey, I'll take it. Yeah. That could be a new name for someone else that we know.
Yeah, I know. Seriously.
Speak to the council on that. But, so there it was. It was Phoenix yellow. It looked absolutely spectacular, and it was great. And we got the car, and it was such a nice relief too, because that M3 wagon had its fair share of issues that we discovered on the first day. Cruise control doesn't work. The exhaust rattles at speed a little bit. Yeah. It didn't have a washer fluid reservoir at all. Yeah. It was a project. Yeah. It's a Frankenstein. It's a project. It made it. It had no mechanical issues, but it's like everything needs some refining. So it was nice to get into a 2005 M3 Coupe where everything just works. Yeah. It's good to go out of the box and a good car.
It looked pretty cool. Like it looks pretty amazing. Photographs extremely well.
It photographs super well. I think Daniel and I have done like 10,000 miles on these trips that we've done. This was our 6th one. I won't go into all the details, but we did a few trips in his '04 M3 convertible, which is medium blue. It can look dark at times, but it's mystic blue. It's kind of medium color. And that car is always photographed well.
Yep.
But this was just in another world, just because the contrast. I mean, I've always liked a gold car, and this is a weird yellow-green gold, but it still fits the bill.
It's neon almost.
Yeah. Well, what's weird is the Austin yellow on the M4 is a lot more intense.
Yeah.
But this is like, kind of like, I like to think maybe it was the earlier technology.
Yeah.
Like the earlier paint, technology. This is what was possible.
And when Daniel had greeted you and you were just, head over heels about this color in person, how did you feel about that Saturn Ion in the exact same color passing by?
It was serendipitous.
Yes.
It was a Saturn Ion drove by on the, like, literally at the departures gate, and it was like this green lime metallic gold color, and it was perfect.
Yeah. Didn't wear it as well, but
arguable.
Yep.
So we had like 8 days in store driving this car, taking the long way.
Yep.
And just a quick rundown of places, and so I won't have too many ums in here. I'm looking at my list. We hit Sheridan, Wyoming. We hit a hailstorm.
Yep.
So thankfully, it didn't do too much.
Yeah.
Daniel's going to replace the roof probably with a carbon one, either painted or unpainted, so you can fit a helmet.
Yep.
So if the roof had gotten dented, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But thankfully, it didn't. We made it to Sheridan, Wyoming, on our way to Yellowstone. So the next day we got to Yellowstone. We stayed in Yellowstone not at the hotel, but there's lodging there. There's like cabins. And that was pretty spectacular. We saw a lot of buffalo and bears and animals and stuff. Next was Choteau, Montana. Again, this was kind of a stepping stone to another national park. We went to Glacier the next day, which was the most spectacular park I've been to. I've been keeping a list of parks I've been to.
Yeah.
And this was the most incredible one because it's all formed by glaciers and it's the most remote. You're pretty much at the Canadian border. So in 2.5, 3 days, we got pretty much to like northwestern Montana.
Yeah.
So then after that, we backtracked to Kalispell on our way to Phillipsburg, where we hung out with Daniel's friend Christina and her boyfriend for a couple days there. We went to like the amazing, like she works at this amazing resort ranch.
Yeah.
And she's like the director of food and beverage.
Yeah.
So we had a really incredible like 4-course dinner and everything at this extremely fancy place.
Yeah.
It was all comped, which was very gracious and nice.
Yeah, that is very cool.
It was a really cool experience. We got to see all the animals too, but yeah, like rich people and celebrities go there to pretend to be
isn't
ranchers.
that where Bovine University is too?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's where all the beef comes from.
Right, that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
The killing floor, don't worry, it's not actually a floor. It's more of a steel grate. That's what he says. Anyway, made it through there, then stayed in Phillipsburg for a bit, then Phillipsburg to Wallowa, Oregon. We went through Wyoming.
Yeah.
We actually had a good time through Wyoming. I had not a terrible time, but not Wyoming, sorry, Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
Idaho, in our last trip, we had just kind of cut through the corner on the outskirts of Boise. It was okay.
Yeah.
What we saw. This time we went through like a really windy road through some forests and mountains.
Nice.
And it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And we got into Oregon, stayed the night there, and then made the last drive into Portland. We got in the afternoon on Saturday.
Yeah.
So last Saturday. And it was pretty fantastic.
Yeah, and he went with this car that he's his third E36 or E46 M3.
Mm-hmm.
You guys went directly to the shop to pick up the wagon.
That's right.
Yes,
That's right.
The other car that he had just bought.
So the wagon, which he bought, he dropped it off at the shop in April, and they've had it for 3 months, and they've been like fixing issues and doing all sorts of things. I knew some of the things they did. So anyway, it was ready. We get in, we pull into his driveway. He checks his email, and they're working on a Saturday, and they're like, the car's ready. Do you want to come get it?
Yeah.
See what you think.
Yeah.
And he had put on steel wheels, again for that like rally aesthetic. They custom fabricated a skid plate.
Yep.
They raised the suspension. It's on coilovers, but they had to modify them.
Yeah.
They tried different springs, but they went back to the other springs. They rebuilt a custom exhaust. They installed I guess an M3 washer fluid reservoir.
Yeah.
Got that all working. So it was more complete, still not fully complete, but but a big step forward.
Yeah.
So we were there for a while. He drove it around. We went for a test drive, and then he's like, yeah. They're like, we know it's not done. When it came in, the shop owner said, like, he's like, when you brought this in, we thought it was a Subaru. Like, in the sense that he had a term. A Subaru was a term he uses for a car that's really good on paper and then a mess to drive, like when you drive it. And so he's like, that's what we thought it was. But, once we put that extra 15% into it, it's a good car now. It's like on its way. But we know there's things with it. But just drive it for a couple days, bring it back when you see what else there is. So I think he was doing that. I mean, I think they might have to rebuild the exhaust again, or at least do a different muffler or something. But it's cool. I mean, it screams at high RPM. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's going to be really cool.
I mean, it's such a unique build too.
Yeah, yeah. I photoshopped it with like red mud flaps and stuff, which would be very cool. Because when I was following it, so he took it home, and I got to drive the new Phoenix yellow car, which was now empty because we had dropped everything off.
Yeah.
So the car was empty, and I didn't have a passenger, and so we were just hooning around Portland on the way back, which was fun. But that wagon just looks like a stock E46 wagon from behind. Yeah, that's really loud.
So you can't see the bolt-on fenders.
You can't see any of that because the color's so dark, and you can't see it from the rear. So
did he? It doesn't have any badges, right?
No badges.
Okay.
He wants to do. He's like, would it be bad if it had like an M3 XI badge? I was like, no, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
So it was a thrill to be there when he got the car, and see his reaction and everything.
Yeah.
We might have Daniel on in August to talk further about it.
He'll be down here.
And
he should pick up a Houston car to keep here.
Yeah, or to drive back.
Yeah. So, because at current, his garage holds 4 BMWs and 1 Land Rover, which is basically
outside now.
It's outside, but it's of the BMW years of Land Rover, right?
It's not. It's the Jaguar V8.
Oh yeah. Okay. But so it is a full house.
It's a full house.
Yeah.
He was storing a friend's 6 Series there.
Oh, really? New or old?
Old.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, very cool.
Daniel would not know anyone who owns a newer 6 Series.
He was storing it, and he's like, yeah, this is going to get moved outside now. But, I mean, also keep in mind, he's got some room because there's always going to be at least one vehicle at his shop.
That is true.
But yeah, a couple of things he said. We drove on a really spectacular road. I always feel a little guilty when Daniel's retracing steps of places that he's driven before, and he's done Glacier before, and he's been to Yellowstone before, but like 10 years ago. But we did get to go through like actually a corner of Oregon. It's kind of isolated by mountains. So we kind of came in from this northeast side, which is pretty uncommon for him. So we were on a really amazing road, and he really, for the first time on the trip at the end, got to really like go through really tight, twisty stuff at high speed. Because we had seen some fast stuff, and if you're on a 50-mile-an-hour road that has medium speed corners, like you're going to be going like 80 to really feel like the car is working, and then you're going way illegal. So this was a tighter road, and he was really pushing it, and he was just amazed by the performance. And after being, and I say this, it sounds not charitable, but after being a convertible apologist, and I was too, because I'll stand by, like, that car is set up really well and it's fun. This was still just another level performance, just another 10%.
Nothing beats just that roof being.
Well, he said it's not even the stiffness, just the weight difference.
Oh yeah,
the weight difference was really incredible. And so when the convertible would understeer, this would just keep going. It was just so neutral and pointy.
The Cabriolet 50/50 weight distribution?
I'm not sure, but it's like a 400-pound penalty or something.
Yeah, because I know the wagon, managed to keep it 50-50, even though the extra roof adds 200 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they shift the weight, but I was curious about the cabriolet. Daniel, answer us if you hear this.
Yeah. So, and then that was most of it.
Yeah.
Photo wise, it was really
I mean,
good. It was really good because I was thinking that a lot of times on these trips, I kind of think about these snapshots from the trip as being like the final 24 photos that I edited is like, oh, that's what the trip looked like. And that's what I remember.
Yeah.
So when you're on one of these trips, it's like, oh, well, this is a spectacular view, but it doesn't quite match that image that was retouched or whatever.
Yeah.
But this, I don't think I realized it in the moment, but it really was spectacular. Just the sights we saw, the places, and this car, which looked so photogenic and it looked so good.
Yeah.
And the car being yellow and weird, it makes the car more special.
Yeah, I would agree because it's not a daily driver.
Right.
It's really an occasional car. And
Yeah.
I think you could get like the boring, like an Arctic Silver or a Meteor Gray. Actually, it's not called Meteor Gray. I forget what it's called. But a gray or silver or just whatever, a metallic car that makes it look like a machine.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it'd be really boring, especially if it's not a daily driver of any kind. This is like meant for an occasion.
Yeah, and it adds that sense of occasion. And I've, after many miles, like I think the E46 overall, especially the M3, is just such a special car. It's just incredible, and I've seen what it can do, and I've experienced it and felt it, and never had a problem, you know, in all these miles. And so having it in this color just makes it like as special as I think it deserves to be.
Yeah.
So good car, just really special to have driven that and been part of it. And so, when it was time to leave Portland, I didn't stick around Portland that long this time. Just like I came back the Sunday after, and seeing all the cars in the driveway and the garage, it's like I felt this coupe, the newest one, was just my favorite of his expanding fleet of BMWs, just because it's just so special.
Has completed the collection because now he has a cabriolet, a coupe, a sedan, and wait, what is the
his
fourth
sedan?
one?
Yeah, his sedan is a 7 Series.
It's an E38. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, wait, what is the fourth car? Oh,
those are the 4 BMWs and then the Land Rover.
Yep.
I said if he gets the E46 sedan, then he'll have all 4 E46 taillights.
That's true.
They all have different ones.
They do. But they never made an E46 M3 sedan.
No.
And I don't know. Do you think that would be cool? Like, I like the E36 sedan.
I do too.
Would it be cool to do a conversion on a sedan?
Not if you already have a wagon.
I don't
think it's that cool.
For some reason, I don't think it would be cool.
Like if you didn't have the wagon, I think it would be cool, but the wagon is like the ultimate of that vision.
Yeah, and it's also like the least likely car to have been an M variant. So a sedan would be kind of boring. Anyway, but this instilled kind of a new love for you for the E46.
Yeah.
Like, so much so that when you came back, you were like, I kind of want an E46 now.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I still am working on making that maybe happen. But I would like to have an E46.
Yeah. And like a non-M.
Non-M. Yeah, I talked to Daniel about it because I was driving the coupe and I was just like, I need an M3. I need one of these. And he kind of said it would not be a good idea over Houston roads and stuff as a daily for those needs. Like it would, this would not be a second sports car for me.
Yeah.
This would be a daily, and I think it would be kind of a waste to leave outside and use every day on our garbage roads.
Yeah.
So, and I think a wagon or sedan would be very good. And I've always liked those 7-spoke wheels, and so if I could have those on a car, it would be
like pre-LCI.
Pre-LCI.
Yeah, so like 2001 and older, 328 or 330 would be pretty cool. I sent you a couple.
You did. You sent me some good ones.
They're all silver too.
Yeah.
Silver with the wheels, except for that one 330, which had the M Sport package, which looked pretty good. I liked those. I liked that whole like look of the 330i M Sport. pre-LCI. I don't hate the. Do you hate that we're using LCI like unironically right now to actually designate?
I do, because it started as ironic. I like to use LCI. We haven't explained this in about 20 episodes, but LCI means it's this cynical, horrible marketing speak term that BMW uses for. I'm using all of these scare quotes. Life cycle impulse, which is the BMW term for facelift. They say life cycle impulse, and their fans say LCI to mean a facelift, which I just find this to be awful marketing speak because it's a facelift. It
is an awful marketing term, but now you have to use it because that's how everyone refers to it. Like you cannot search a forum without like using LCI to designate like the dumb differences between pre-facelift. And pre-facelift is too long. So there.
Kill me.
But I don't mind. Like I
don't like the LCI.
I think the pre-LCI looks better, but I don't mind how the LCI looks.
Like once you, I don't know.
And I'm a fan of the ZHP.
I hate the Z. I think it looks terrible. But the headlights are weird, and the grille is elf ears. And anyway, so that was my trip. Glad I could share about it. There's some pictures on my Instagram from it. I might do a post about it on my own website or something.
Yeah.
I didn't write about this one. I don't think I could sell like a fifth story about an M car that's 15 years old. I think I made a few up to this point, but
I mean, it would have been neat to revisit. I mean, like just a snippet even about a reminder that Phoenix Yellow exists.
Yeah.
But
so I think that will go somewhere.
What do you think? What do you think is the best color for an E46 M3?
I think it has to be metallic.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna say this, and I'm biased. I think this is better than Imola Red or Laguna Seca Blue because I think those kind of make it look bigger.
Yeah.
A little more like a slab of, like a little more bloated, just because you don't have the metallics to give it the shaded shadow areas.
Yeah.
That kind of slim it.
Yeah.
So I think a metallic is good, and this is the boldest metallic. So I think this is probably the best.
I think it might be Imola or Laguna Seca Blue. That just from a pure color standpoint, and I mean, like they look fantastic in boring colors too, like silver or gray. Looks pretty good, but white is probably the worst color for.
Yeah,
car.
Black's the worst color for any car. But I was looking up to see if one had ever been in evergreen, which has not been. But
is that a color option?
That was the color on the M Coupe. That's like this. Like it's like the green Laguna Seca Blue.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
That's the name of it.
Oh.
And but there was like maybe 25 Phoenix Yellow M Coupes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Including one that had Laguna Seca Blue interior.
Oh. Yikes.
Pretty cool.
That would have been something else. Well, yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
How does Daniel plan like these routes? Like when I travel, like it is painful. That
is a really good question. And actually, this one of our trips, this was the tightest that we stuck to the schedule.
Yeah.
Because there's been ones, and it was also because it's like summer travel season.
Yeah.
And the only time, like more people go to Glacier and Yellowstone than you would think for how remote it is.
Yeah.
And the time when people do that is right now. So you've got to plan your hotels and everything, and you've got to check availability. So when we've traveled in January, it's like, how far can we get today? All right, then we'll get a hotel.
Yeah.
And he'll kind of have a loose idea of where we're going to stop. This one was the most prescribed, and which was fine. It worked out perfectly, but there wasn't a lot of flexibility. He built in a lot of time because he knows how long it's going to take things. But he basically, looks on Google Maps, sees where we can get in a day, and then tries to find places in these towns where you can get a hotel. Like the reason we stayed where we did in Wyoming, 2 or 3 hours outside of Yellowstone, was because it was cheap.
Yeah.
Where we stayed outside of Glacier, it was because it was reasonably priced.
Yeah.
And if you were to stay near the park, you'd be paying $200 or $300 a night for a motel.
Right.
So because it's the summer, that's what we did. And then when we were in Montana in Phillipsburg, we stayed at an Airbnb.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just has a lot of experience with this, and he enjoys doing this.
Yeah.
And he sent me a Google Doc with the places, and I looked and I was like, yeah, it looks good to me. Like, it's hard for me to visualize like what's in each place, but I assume he knows what he's doing when he's picking them. So I don't object.
You always trust me if we go to like LA, I'll like throw out a bunch of places, random places, and you were very okay with them. But I don't normally know what I am doing when I am having to plan like an actual itinerary. I hate doing itineraries because I just like I'm very unsure of myself as far as like I wonder if this is actually going to be good or how long it's actually going to take to do this or that. I'm very bad at it, so I'm impressed that Daniel can do that like with such frequency and with like as much variation as he can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I did my road trip to California last year, I kind of was channeling him like what he would do when I planned on. I was only 3 stops to California, I think, but I was like, we can make it to this city, New Mexico, and this is the weather, and this is whatever, and then this is the next day it'll be Flagstaff, and then so I kind of had that, and that one I actually we stuck to it, and it worked out really well.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah,
very nice. Well, if I end up getting some random car, because I'm just like I have been on the informal search for like the last. I don't even know how many months, just for something. Do you want to go somewhere and pick it up?
I would love to.
Okay, all right. It might be as far as Austin, which is 150 miles away.
I'll clear my calendar.
Yeah, please. Okay, so on to the next. We were just having this conversation about like Bring a Trailer premium listings.
And I said, save it for the show.
Save it for the show. So, of course, like now,
shut up.
Why don't we
let's talk about this
naturally pick up that conversation again?
Natural.
Yeah. I was just stating that there seems to be like the Bring a Trailer comment section, like it's a community in the same way like a forum is. And there was this kind of sense of entitlement I felt like in the community where like they liked how democratized the cars were, basically, like as in like you could be selling a 1984 Ford Tempo in the same exact presentation and vein, I mean other than photo quality, as a rare Ferrari. And now they've introduced premium listings, which kind of elevates it a little bit, so it extends the listing by like I think it's up to 30 days. I don't know if they have different.
There's the premium listing and then the white glove listing.
Okay. Well, either way, like
we had the thing up on the screen. There was the 3 tiers.
Yeah.
There's one that is $349 for the premium listing, and then the white glove is like that Mercedes SL where it's inquire for a price.
I thought it was.
Does the premium lengthen the sale also?
No, I don't think so. Well, let's see. It's only the premium extends the sale.
Oh, what's the plus? You said okay, all right, whatever. It's fine. It's fine.
I am not sure. Okay, so we didn't really read through this, but either way, like you've seen them now if you peruse the site regularly. They're the like large thumbnails, and it's a longer auction, and I guess it just has more promotability. And I mean the cars that they're selling are special, and they have to approve the car for sale as well. And so the first listing was their 300 SL Gullwing, their own one that went for 1,230,000. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, blah blah blah. But anyways, which I think I don't know the actual values of those, but it sounds about like in the ballpark of what those are meant to sell at. So, but I remember when they launched these, and this is probably an old conversation at this point, but like people took to Twitter to complain about how like it's no longer like they've lost the original idea for the site, which they've had 20,000 auctions at this point.
It's crazy,
which is insane. Like, because I feel like this just started, but I guess it's been a few years now. It's been like since 2015, I think.
Yeah, well, that still seems really
actually is a
recent.
lot. Yeah, 20,000 divided by 4 or 5 years is still pretty insane.
Yeah.
So I don't have that. I don't have that feeling. Like, I mean, at this point, it's just a platform to sell cars, and it's more entertaining and enthusiast oriented. and I'm fine with the fact that they have these premium listings. But
Yeah, and it's interactive and
Yeah.
informational and
But-
good.
the flow, like just the feeling, like just that natural reaction from like the crowd that watches these auctions, who aren't necessarily bidding on the cars either. They're just providing the commentary and the knowledge, supplemental knowledge for the cars. At first, it seemed to be that they were just not into the idea, but just from a very personal perspective of it having been like, I mean, it's called bringatrailer.com. I remember when I was when I first found it, the site like years ago.
It was just, here's some cool listings.
Yeah, it's just stories, or yeah, it was just like just some random postings here and there, and I submitted a few, and it had that kind of like blog spot or like WordPress blog feel
Sure.
to it, and I think a lot of people still have that feeling about it, and so now they're kind of elevating themselves to. I mean, I guess the spirit is still there, but they're elevating them. They are kind of elevating themselves into a higher level of auctioning experience.
I mean, I think they're just trying to make it more efficient
Yeah.
and effective.
Yeah.
And
it is still different. I mean, it is an auction structure for like this day and age because it's still like a fixed fee, no matter what, and a fixed auction.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like to anyone that says that they're like, oh, you forgot your origins or whatever. Like
Yeah.
I think the listings used to be what, 500 or 250
Were
to
they?
insert. Yeah, I mean, not long ago.
Yeah.
When it started, it was. I want to say I thought it was 500, but I want to say it was more than 250, and they
Yeah.
did $99 as like like a weekend special. Or if it was like a holiday weekend, they would say $99 listing.
Yeah.
For this 3 days only, and then that became the price.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, it is still the everyman website. I mean, if you're selling Gullwings and 959s and 2000 GTs, you're going up against Sotheby's
Right.
and Gooding.
Right.
I mean, this is the most like egalitarian thing if you're comparing it to those things.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're elevating. It's not Brick and Trailers elevating themselves to those things, but they're saying those things don't need to be the exclusive dealers of these cars. Like we can sell this, and we'll have a more informed user base.
Right.
And because of the comments and whatever,
Right.
and a more interactive experience.
Yeah. No, I mean, I completely agree. Like, it's not to say that they're trying to enter into like an RM space or anything like that. But they are elevating themselves in the category that they are in, or in this space.
I think they are trying to enter that, but by chipping away at what RM does, not by raising the pedestal higher.
Right.
And basically, Daniel and I argued about this too. So the white glove, we'll leave that aside. The plus listing is $349 and includes photos, where they basically consult. They use a service that gets a photographer that comes takes the pictures and everything. So you get the bigger photo thumbnail and you get good pictures, which every listing should have good pictures anyway.
Right.
And you could do a normal listing and pay someone to take good pictures.
Right.
This is just making it less friction. Ultimately, I think just still to make it easier to make the listings look better and more appealing and more professional and
when I say like they're elevating what it is that they're doing for like making it like viable for this day and age. Essentially, it's almost like an app. It's like a one-stop shop.
Yeah, exactly. Eliminating
situation.
friction, making it easier. So someone you and I always like to pick fun at the photographs that are the worst.
Yeah.
Where the person, they're still bad. Where the person sort of tried.
Yeah.
Like they took out their black 993 in front of the subdivision's waterfall lake at noon on a Saturday.
Yep. No, yeah, it is pretty astonishing. Like, I at least here they make an attempt to not clip off the bumpers, like when shooting photos of their car. So there's that. Although, like, there are still people who, I don't know if there's a minimum number of photos that you're required to have, but like there are still those who have like 20 photos, and then there are the auctions where I think if you're buying a car sight unseen that have like 200 photos, something like that, which is probably what you should actually do and take the effort if you're trying to make money or get the highest amount for your car. But I will say that I think what they are doing, and this just kind of goes back to that same argument from before. I don't even know if it's an argument really. I think they're doing something different. Like while their status now, I mean they're not something to be ignored. They are doing something that disrupts the automotive auctioning industry. It is different too in that they don't have like grouped sale dates. It's like as they roll them out, which I've always thought it was kind of interesting that like you as a seller, you don't know when they're going to list your car for sale.
Right.
As I understand it. So
That's
you just
true.
One day you just kind of your car appears, and I guess you're notified. I would think.
Yeah, I
Because
think
you want to be active in
yeah.
the
Well,
listing.
I sold a set of wheels on Bring a Trailer, so that's my
Yeah.
modest experience. But being a seller, and yeah, they tell you. Like you submit it, they might come back at you with questions. They might come back with more questions, and then they say okay, and then I think within a week or 1.5 weeks, it will probably get listed.
Yeah.
So and they notify you. So I think that's how it goes. I
Yeah.
don't know if if it varies much from that.
Yeah.
But I think in Blake's experience and my experience, I think that's how it went.
Yeah. I'd like to sell a car on BAT.
Well, and that's the other thing is like the interesting thing is like as maybe they're trying to reclaim. I don't know. This is an open thought. It used to be like BAT was, and it's not that the quality's gone down. Like it's good that it's more widespread and that there's more of a range and there's something for everyone.
Yeah.
But it's like it used to be the best of the best of the best. Like I would have sold my Boxster on there in 2016.
Yeah.
If it was now, I would say, hey, this car would do pretty well now. It's been well loved. I did all the preventative maintenance. I did all these fixes, and I shot it really well.
Yeah.
And at the time in 2016, I was like, my Boxster has too many miles. It's not perfect. Like there's a scratch here. You know what I mean? Like it seemed like that's only for concours.
Yeah.
And that's clearly not the case now that they're doing 100 auctions a day.
Yeah. It is definitely much more diverse a set of cars. And I mean, like, I think they all deserve to be on there, to be quite honest. I mean, they're all, like, at least somewhat interesting. It's kind of it's also really interesting seeing people's reactions to, like, you would think, I always assume that everyone in either, like, anyone who's an enthusiast of any kind has the same sort of either mild, at the very least, mild feels for the cars that we think are special. Like when they listed like a pristine one owner 92 Accord, cue the like, what is this, Craigslist, like blah blah blah, but it was cool. Like it was like a very unique, I mean, it was a good car for the time. It's probably an interesting car to drive now just because it feels old.
It has like better visibility than anything you can buy today.
Yeah, it truly is interesting. But I forget like how curmudgeonly the car world can be sometimes.
Yes, it is.
Yes. And speaking of which, like the conversation has also been floating around like revival names for cars too. If you've noticed, like the Puma is now like being revived as a crossover, and the Eclipse also revived as a crossover. And I thought about it. I didn't know whether or not to be like offended as an automotive enthusiast by this, and I've come to the conclusion that I don't care. Like I think it's fine. These aren't like that iconic in that sense. Like it's not as if you're they're going to take Corvette and turn it into like a crossover name or whatever. Like if anything at all, this actually, I think like the Puma, which we never got it here.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the logo?
I don't recall the logo.
It's a Puma.
Is it a Puma?
It's
well, that makes
super
sense.
cool. No, it's really cool.
Okay.
It's like a fun script, and then it has like the Panther thing like over the. It's really
That's cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah. Well, Ford Europe got like all the cool like subcompacts.
They made all the cool stuff.
Yeah. They made all the cool
like
stuff.
They made it there. That's why they got it. It was perfect for the market. I mean, they were.
And Ford finally
incredible.
like deemed us worthy to bring like the European focus here, and it was great. And it was better than like because they were selling I remember they were selling the Escort at the same time, and side by side.
Only the ZX2, but
only
yes.
the ZX2, yeah. The coupe, but. Side by side, there was like no comparison. Like, they didn't even share the same like switchgear. I don't think.
No.
But like everything was just so much better.
Yeah.
Like for lack of a more descriptive description.
I mean, that focus was world changing.
But here's the thing. So my take on like revival of like heritage car names is I think it's fine, especially if it's in spirit of the original, as in like the Puma and the Eclipse were kind of these mass market cars meant to appeal to a mass market.
Right.
And while the Eclipse originally was a sporty two-door coupe and the Puma was a subcompact,
It was sporty.
it was sporty.
You know, that makes sense. Like it was
the crossover is the car of our times now.
Right.
Yeah.
A sporty coupe was like a marketable, popular thing at the time, just as a crossover is now. Like that makes sense. That's fair.
So in that sense, like I think it's fine. And I just like one, we don't have any like attachments to the name Puma. I don't think. I mean, my attachment to that name is I remember seeing the Tiff Nadell videos. Yeah, when he was teaching people like how to do like J turns and Scandinavian flicks in a Puma.
Okay, so my thing is briefly like it's not that I'm not really upset.
Yeah.
But I do find it cynical in just about every sense, or in every case when a car quote comes back when it has nothing to do with the old one. And I mean, like the 8 Series.
The first ever Puma.
8 Series.
Yeah.
The 8 Series has nothing to do with the old 8 Series.
No,
This is a 6 Series.
No one seems to have a problem about that.
I do. But yeah, I mean, even you could say the Supra. Like, there's not much in common with the previous one.
But it's in spirit, like where it slots in to the need, I guess.
Right. It just does seem like a nostalgia cash grab. That's what I mean. It's cynical,
I guess so. I don't know. Like the person who owned an Eclipse in the 90s, I don't see them buying like the equivalent of what that might be as far as like a popular car goes, like today, and maybe a Puma, because I mean, while it was like a two-door economy car, I think it was basically sort of a family car still at the same time.
No,
maybe, I don't know. But it was a mass market car, not really, enthusiast targeted. It was just like a car that seemed like it would be exciting to own or whatever. So crossovers in that same way, and the Supra in that same way, and the 8 Series in that same way as well. I mean, the 8 Series it's a grand tourer in the same way that the old one was, and whatever. Anyways,
it's fine.
All right, let's move on. So
C8,
the C8.
Can we?
Important car.
It's extremely important.
Very
and
important.
I'm here to argue with you that it's more important than you think.
I think that it is very important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
Like that. I mean, okay. So but be honest, when the photos rolled in, before any information about price, performance came out, what was your first reaction?
I saw pictures of it earlier.
Sure. So when you first saw it?
I thought it was busy and not the most attractive car.
Sure.
It looks a lot like the McLaren GT, which is a car we haven't talked about, but McLaren GT is kind of a confusing thing in the lineup, and this kind of looks like that, where the headlights make it seem like the belt line is way too high.
Yeah,
because the headlights are
large,
huge, and they're set far back, so they're like on tops of the wheels.
Yeah.
Anyway, the looks are not perfect, but
sure.
maybe it looks better in real life.
And I'm sure it is. And I will admit, like when I saw it in yellow, I thought it looked better than the red. On black wheels, because I think it was yellow on silver. I don't recall, but
all the wheels look terrible too.
Yeah, they don't look good. And my first thought too was that it was extremely busy and it was derivative, and they tried to make it different by adding lines, creases, cladding, bulges everywhere. And it's a dramatic car, like there's no doubt about that. But my first reaction was like, almost, but not quite. In fact, if they had just dialed it back like 20%, 30%.
I mean, then it would have gotten accused of looking generic.
Sure. But then I would have thought it would look good. But I'm sure, like, the straw poll is this. Like, when the images were first published, I scrolled through the Jalopnik comments, and it was largely, applauded. So the styling is, like, being received well by the general public at large, if you take a slice of the comment section But no, I do think that, I mean, it's a major shift for many reasons. And, I mean, I'll give just a handful of my reasons why I think this is like such an important car. I mean, one, like, taking out of context that they are making a generational shift in demographic, like as far as how they're targeting this car.
For sure.
Maybe not outright, but I mean, this is not the long hooded penis car that, I mean, it never looked like a penis car, but it is not your grandpa's Corvette. It's not your dad's Corvette.
Right.
It is like essentially your Corvette now for this generation, I guess. And it's not being offered in a manual, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe down the line, but
I don't know.
interesting.
I mean, I think they'd have to redo a lot of that interior. I just don't know if I see it happening.
Yeah. And oh yeah, you're right too about that. Like the console looks really high.
Yeah.
So yeah, although like to be fair, the 991 and 981 consoles are also super high.
Yeah, I mean, you
can deal with it.
It
I
just
guess.
doesn't look like it's made to accommodate a manual.
Yeah,
Unless
yeah.
there's like outrage or something. Like
Yeah.
maybe they would. I mean, it without going down this rabbit hole, it seems like the perfect car for a manual because it's not like we're not talking about a 700 horsepower version.
No.
We're talking about 500 horsepower naturally aspirated
and
would be great.
Wanting to like eke it out as like this driving experience and not just a 0 to 60 stunt car. But yeah, there's that, and then there's the price, which is like pretty astonishing.
It really is. It
like,
really is.
Under 60 grand for all of that.
Yeah.
Is like, this is why someone would want to buy a domestic car, is that it offers you more for less, and it's kind of restaking that claim a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's it's very interesting. I'm wondering how they have done this. What is the MSRP now of a C7? Like, what does it start at?
I think it's in the mid-50s. I'm not exactly sure.
Okay, yeah. So I mean,
I'm actually, I don't know. I'm speaking out of pure speculation.
Okay, but it's probably in the same range, basically.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Like all these things, like while it may not be the prettiest car, like the concept of what it is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm on board.
Absolutely. I think this is like the R35 GTR in the impact it's going to have.
Yeah.
You know, I've said on this show, post GTR world, because I think the GTR did change everything and how every company approached car performance in 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
And I think this is like that. I think it's really huge for the price. I mean, so I looked up today. You know how much a GT350 Mustang costs?
I'm going to guess $68,000.
No, it's $61,000. That's still more than I thought.
Yeah.
And that's the Mustang you would want.
Yeah.
I mean, this is I hate for it to be all down to a bang for the buck proposition because that's not very interesting. But it is interesting when it's this extreme of an example. I mean, this is delivering like what the first R8 delivered, the V8.
Yeah.
But this is half the price and more power.
This is it's kind of the people supercar.
Yeah.
And it is interesting. And speaking of like the GTR, like I wonder if they're going to recoup their money retroactively by increasing the price, like year after year. But the proposition as it is right now, I
don't think so. I think that Corvette. Well, first of all, non sequitur. Corvette is the only part of GM that I think doesn't half-ass things. Like I think they do things well. I think also they were going to be under a lot of scrutiny for this decision.
Yeah.
So I think the price had to be good.
Yeah.
And the price, I think, has to stay affordable.
Yeah.
Or I think it has to stay like this. Like, I don't think they're going to do anything wonky in, like, the following years. But,
yeah. And I think, like, this is where a lot of people expected the NSX to...
That's what I said. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, which, I mean, so yeah, this is like, it's pretty on the mark. Like, I mean, there are some things like the row of buttons, which is, I think, a really weird usability just from having experience with usability design is bad. While it looks neat that you have this row of buttons, it's kind of useless because you almost always will have to look down I mean, I
Yeah.
know this is an old man argument, but like, it's like there's no logic. There's no grouping or clustering. Like logically, it's just a row. Like you've taken every car button in the car and you've lined them up in a row OCDly.
Well, I think the ones at the bottom are like seat heaters and windows and
I
locks
think
and stuff.
if I zoomed in, you're either the driver, or the passenger seat heaters. One is all the way at the top. The other one's all the way down at the bottom.
Okay.
And then climate's kind of mixed in between. Anyways,
I mean, I'm not sure if that's correct, but
whatever.
The other thing I thought was that this is like what technological progress should be like.
Sure.
It seems like, and I'm going to sound like Bernie Sanders or something. It seems like performance hasn't reached, or we haven't had performance gains with like affordable cars.
Sure.
In a long time.
Yeah.
Because there's always something, like it's all been hypercars and supercars.
Yeah.
And then it's like, yes, there is a 700 horsepower Hellcat, but it's not engaging to driving corners. Right. Or the Mustang is good now, but the one you want is 60 grand.
Right.
The WRX has had the same specs for 10 years and like 8 facelifts.
Yeah, yeah.
Or LCIs, as I say.
Of course.
This is like this is what we should get for performance, where it's like we're getting a mid-engine supercar with 500 horsepower for this price.
Yeah.
This really is like democratizing exotic car performance. And I think this not that the Corvette needed to be legitimized, but I think with a certain audience, it does. I mean, oddly enough, ironically, I think this will help it to steal sales from front engine cars.
Yeah.
Like the F-Type or something where someone wants like a stylish sports car.
Sure.
But it's like, because there's no one, like, I think Porsche people are going to stick with Porsche.
Right.
I think Ferrari people, they're going to stick with a Ferrari or McLaren, probably stay with that.
Yeah.
But someone that's considering an AMG GT is probably like, maybe this is something
shop,
cool.
Like, air quotes, down market.
Yeah, and then you've got all the people that would be buying Camaros or Mustangs or Hellcats that are like, hey, for the same price or $5,000 more, I could have
more special
a supercar that is a legitimate supercar. I mean, this is the same specs as what Ferrari had just a few years ago.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like, this is, in a way, this is just I'm very curious to see how well this does, and I hope it delivers as promised, because it is pretty cool. I'm sad that the manual thing is, I get it. I know they need the car to perform in a certain way, and a manual gets you there. Although they were the first ones to do a 7-speed, right? 7-speed manual. Or was that
they did it, and Porsche did it around the same time.
Yeah,
I don't know who was first.
Yeah, even though that seems like such a tremendous amount of gears to have.
It is. It's not about driving. It's about hitting these EPA numbers. It's about hitting these fuel mileage numbers where it's like it's going to be droning in this gear at this thing. It's just pure math. That's why they love doing dual clutch and turbocharging, because you can just program it to just never hit boost when you're in that whatever gear.
Yeah.
But maybe this is a thing. I always think about what I think was a very successful car launch was the F-Type, where they managed to generate headlines and steal auto shows for 3 years when they said, here's the F-Type, it's stunning. And then the next year, here's the coupe, it's stunning. And then the next year, and there's a manual. And it's just the manual was a launch of a new car, because people were just blown away. So maybe there's a chance they're saying they're just being coy and they're going to introduce it later just to maximize how it generates news and interest over time, because you have to develop a car with that in mind, with future versions and everything. But I mean, the interesting thing, talking about this with a friend recently, is the C6. So I'm going back a little. Sorry to jump back, but the C6, the Z06 was an incredible car that was iconic, and it was this big naturally aspirated 7-liter engine. The C7 Z06, which was faster, never really captured the imagination. It always just seemed like a Corvette with a bunch of shit tacked onto it.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I'm sure that this Z06 will be good. But I think I'm not as interested to see what that will be.
Yeah.
I think the base car is truly exceptional.
That's good. And the base car, going for the lowest hanging fruit here, but is 0 to 60 in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
So, and I wonder if then instead of like special edition, instead of focusing on making it go faster in a straight line, it will just truly be about handling improvements because
Well, I mean, I think the handling is there, and I think it's going to be a little bit of everything. I mean,
Yeah.
the developers they've sort of maximized the front engine rear drive platform with the C7,
Yeah.
and so to take it further, it had to be a big performance leap. As far as lap time and performance for them to make this shift.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what they can unlock.
and I hope it's good. It's building up to be good, and I hope it is actually good to drive.
I mean, the C7 to drive really, it was razor sharp feeling and very quick.
Sure. Yeah.
And this one is going to be quicker and probably sharper.
Yeah.
So
yeah, this will have a
cool.
completely different like driving dynamic to it.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. So it's time for Fuch, Marry, Kill. Okay, you're supposed to say that with me.
We've never rehearsed this.
What? All right.
I missed rehearsal on Thursday.
All right.
We've literally never done that. But let's explain the segment. So we pick a year. This year we're picking 2005.
Yes.
And we look at the cars introduced that year, and we say, this is what we are going to Fuch, which is drive once, marry, which is daily, or crush, which is crush.
Yeah. I just thought it was just Kill, but I guess it's Crush. All right, whatever.
Yes.
You made up the name.
I don't remember what it was.
Okay. Anyway, so we've been sticking pretty much to the 80s and 90s. So we thought we would delve into the 2000s. We've done 2000 twice, I think. 2000 and 2001.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But
never forget.
Yeah. And so 2005 is a year where a lot of cars came out. The economy looked strong, and people had hollow cash in their hands, ready to spend. So the car companies...
The future was bright as far as the eye could see.
Yeah, so let's kind of roll through... Oh, right, okay. Are we doing the thing where I pick one, or I pick them for you?
Are we just going to go through the list?
Okay.
Or do you want to just pick one for me? Are we not going to talk about them or what?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's cut this part out.
Right.
So, yeah, let's go through the list, and then we'll round back to pick them for each other. Okay. All right. So, the Acura CSX, which we didn't get, but was basically just a Honda Civic.
Yes.
Alfa Romeo 159.
Those are pretty. Those are really pretty.
Ooh.
They're so cool. And then the next one, the Brera,
Yeah.
is like the coupe version of that.
See, that looks really good.
Those
Even
are
though,
really good.
like this, as I recall, is a front wheel.
They are. Yeah.
Front wheel drive. Alpina B5. That's good too.
Ooh, yeah.
That is awesome.
That is cool.
They're showing a wagon for the
It's
Wikipedia
the
entry.
E60 generation, the 05.
Yeah. So
there it is.
Yep. B6, B7. So all the Bs came out. What is I've heard of the Ascari.
It's like a supercar. It was on Top Gear. It's generic.
Yep.
The Vantage.
Yeah.
That was a significant car. I never liked it as much as the DB9.
Yeah.
It just always looked stubby.
Yeah. GT4.
That's the race car version.
Looks pretty cool. You know what a ball is?
Nope.
Okay.
All right, we're skipping
Moving
the
on.
ones we don't know.
They are
Bentley
fun.
Flying Spur. Those never caught on. I remember seeing a couple in New York and
Yeah.
thinking, oh yeah, and then it
I mean, it's
just
very
never.
grand.
Yeah, it was a 4-door Continental GT
Yeah.
as far as the styling.
The E90 came out in
E90.
Europe in 05, not in the US.
I remember seeing one in the UK in 05.
Oh,
the
really?
first one I saw was in London.
Oh,
I was
wow.
like, it's a shame they have the E92 in the picture on the thumbnail because it's so much uglier and so much more conservatively styled than the sedan.
You do hate the E92.
It's too long.
Okay, let's see. The Veyron came out.
The Veyron came out.
Yeah.
Extremely significant car.
So did the Buick Lucerne. I had a rental car. once
Really?
It was a Lucerne.
How was it?
It was extremely car.
Oh, good.
So, yeah. The Terrazza
Oh, it's
came
Terrazza.
out.
I know what you're getting.
Yep. That chortle, by the way, is related to an inside joke in which GM produced how many variants?
4.
4 variants of this van.
The GMT 201 platform.
Yeah.
And so this was the last minivan made by GM. So you had the Chevy Uplander, Saturn Relay, the this year, like 2005 to 2009, Pontiac Montana and the Buick Terraza. And they're all awful, and they have this sort of snouty front end, and they're ugly, and
They're
no one bought
extremely
them.
ugly,
And
yeah.
no one bought them, and they were trash. And so if you see one now, we joke, our auto journalist friends, we joke that if you see all four in one day, you're going to have a bad day. And that's pretty much impossible because they didn't sell that many. But
Yeah.
if you're in Detroit, there's a good chance of that happening.
So Daniel Golson is the most likely to die out of all of us. Okay, so Cadillac DTS, that's the little big blah. SESV.
Still bad. DTS, our friend Steve and Hebert.
Yeah.
He swears by the DTS.
Does he?
Yeah, his dad had one or something.
Okay, well, there you go.
Corvette Z06, or the C6 Corvette.
C6 came out. HHR, I didn't know that it was a 05, but there you have it. Oh, and we're going to keep going through the GMT 201s here. So Uplander came out then. Don't know what the Aquino is. Oh, interesting. Mm-hmm. The Citroen C1, which we didn't get.
All right, we're not going to read the ones we don't have. So Charger, the LX Charger, pretty significant. Still around today.
Still around.
Ferrari FXX.
Yep.
So this was so I had never seen one, and that was the last Ferrari supercar I'd never seen in real life.
Really?
Until I saw one at it was Pebble Beach.
Okay.
About 2 years ago, they had a big, not on the Pebble lawn, but outside they had a big Ferrari display with a bunch of things, and there was one. It was
I was going to say, I don't
okay.
like how it looks at all.
It's an Enzo that was do you remember it was the development race car?
Yeah.
Customer race car.
Yeah.
Customer development track car thing.
Yeah.
In that same display, there was also a yellow 288 GTO, which was the coolest thing ever.
Way cooler. Okay, so a bunch of Euro models that we didn't get. The
Ford Falcon
500.
Ford 500.
Before it was the Taurus.
That was before it was the Taurus. Before it was redone on the Volvo platform.
Do you remember when
this wasn't the Volvo platform? Also, was it?
I don't think so. But do you remember when the 500 concept car came out, and it was like that retro-looking Continental thing, and that was so cool. And they came out with this.
Yeah.
And
And then Alan Mulally came on board, and he was the CEO, and he was very good. And he immediately renamed it the Taurus. He's like, we need to bring the Taurus name back. So before they had the new car, they renamed it the Taurus. The Iosis was a really cool concept car that previewed
looks
the
really
Mondeo
good.
and everything.
Yeah.
It did lead to their styling generation that
I thought that the Fusion was the Mondeo.
No,
No, you're right, because this looks like the Euro or
the
Mondeo which
was
is Euro.
independent. The current Mondeo might be the current Fusion, but they were separate for a while.
Yeah. So this is the Geely CK, which is interesting because they went on to buy Volvo because they were making a fake. This looks like a C-Class. It looks like the W201 C-Class. That looks absolutely terrible. Mm-hmm. The Gumpert Apollo.
Very ugly.
Very ugly. All right, let's see. Okay, I know.
Okay.
It had such a cool name.
It
the
does.
Honda Airwave.
That's a really good name.
Yeah. But it is just like a weird tall wagon.
That's what I use to dry my hands in the bathroom.
Yep. I hate those because they fling poo everywhere.
Yep.
Because your hands are filled with poo.
8th generation Civic is a good Civic.
Yep. Ridgeline.
Love the Ridgeline.
This one was, I love the way this one looks. I don't particularly like the way the new one looks,
I don't particularly like the way the new one's, but it's so functional that it's fine with me.
Yeah. The H3
burn
came out.
Kill it with fire.
Oh, what is this?
Probably a concept car.
Yeah, it's a concept car with no photos.
What you said without saying what it is. Infiniti Corazza, which is not the Buick Terraza.
Yeah.
The Jaguar Lightweight Coupe concept. I remember that. That was the preview of the XK.
Yep.
The Jeep Commander. XK. Bad. All right. We're skipping to Lexus GS.
Yep.
I did not like that generation.
I didn't either. It's so weird and slug looking.
It really is in this picture, especially. It's just very blobby and just not very.
Because the previous one was cool.
Yeah.
And then they came up with that.
The IS. I was not a fan of this generation.
I do
fine.
like them.
It's fine, but I think
it was a really nice design for the time, at least.
Yeah. I think the ones before and after were better.
Ooh, the Lieutenant.
Lieutenant
Smash.
LT Smash.
The Lincoln Mark LT.
It was the successor to the Blackwood. Did you know the Mark LT?
Yes.
It only went on sale. It was only for a couple of years.
Yeah.
It was continued to be sold in Mexico until 2012.
What? Really?
Yeah, it was a hit there.
Oh my god! Like the Blackwood at
Like
least
it got a redesign in
Wow.
Mexico.
the Blackwood at least looked unique, as in like it looked different from the
It was
F-150.
it was the Navigator front
Yeah,
end.
but look at this. It literally just looks like a grill swapped F-150.
Which we see all the time.
Yeah, which
around
exactly.
These parts.
Yeah.
That's not the MKZ. Or I mean, that's not the right one.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
was a
remember that.
concept. I
Yeah.
remember that too. The
The
Maybach
Accelero.
Accelero.
Yeah.
So we got the NC Miata, which is arguably the least loved Miata.
Yep.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's still a good car, but
Yeah.
it's just not. It's just
never
not as
Took
good.
on in reputation.
Yeah.
Oh, don't know what this is. Oh, it's a Mazda 5 hydrogen. B class, we didn't get that. The Bionic. Oh, I remember that.
I do remember that.
fish-looking
looks
thing.
Very futuristic. Like that looks ahead of its time.
It does.
That looks like every Hyundai now.
It looks like a fish, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so this Gen S class came out, which was not very pretty. The W221, the Mercury Milan. I remember when they marketed this as like they weren't even shielding it in any way. This was meant to be like the ladies' fusion, like, and and they named it the Milan because I guess it sounds like exotic, like it's a dress. It's like the Peugeot 107, Peugeot 1007.
There it is.
There it is. That looks extremely.
Ooh, Pontiac
car.
Torrent.
Oh, yeah.
I used LimeWire, but
Hell,
occasionally Napster.
Yeah. Yep.
No, Napster was not torrenting.
It was not
LimeWire
torrenting.
was.
Yeah. Was it? No. It was just,
LimeWire was
It was peer to peer, but you were just downloading from
Oh,
someone else's
yeah.
computer directly.
I told you my friend used. Remember there was LimeWire Pro.
I don't.
There
but-
was a paid version of LimeWire, and my friend used LimeWire to steal LimeWire Pro, which is amazing.
The irony is not lost. The 987, of course, came out, Boxster and Cayman.
Yeah,
I
I remember when the Cayman launched. I remember going to a Porsche dealer to see it when it was new.
Oh yeah. Also missing from this is 997.
That might have been
Interestingly.
an 04 debut.
Maybe, yeah. Oh, true. This list is introduced in 05. Okay. Proton, don't know. Oh, the Range Rover Sport. When those launched, I thought it was actually like a better looking Range Rover, but now I retract that statement completely. So, because it's actually just a Land Rover Discovery.
Do you think that those like early 2000s Range Rovers have aged well?
I kind of do. In kind of very specific trim, because it's also they're like mostly trashed now. I feel like they
you
are.
would not want one.
They are buy here, pay here lot specials. The 97X.
Oh yeah.
Boy, another G. Like this is another GM like casualty special. He was in the middle though. Saturn Relay.
Saturn Relay.
Bunch of Ssangyongs.
Subaru B6
Oh, what is that?
concept car and R1 and Tribeca. Remember the Tribeca?
This B1 thing
That's
is
cool as
kind
hell.
of cool.
That's
Wow.
cool as hell.
They should have brought that here.
They could have sold 5 of them.
I know. It's this like it looks like a Mazda 2 two-door basically.
It looks like an IQ.
Yeah.
With a Subaru triple grill face.
Yeah.
What did they call that grill?
I don't recall, but I tell you what, it did not work on the Tribeca.
No.
But it works here on this like tiny one.
Yeah, it's kind of alpha-like.
Yeah.
I thought it worked on the WRX in the time too.
Yeah, I guess it did.
That was called the Hawkeye WRX, but that was more about its headlights.
Yeah. Yeah, this was a short-lived car and
Fascia.
fascia.
Well, the fascia, I think it got a new fascia shortly after.
Yeah.
Toyota Aygo, that was.
Oh yeah.
Oh, those are cool.
Yeah, those are cool.
Those were used on Top Gear, I think, in some kind of challenge.
Like I think it was like a the soccer ball.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
loved that. I watched that many a time.
So this is a Yaris. It's called the Toyota Belta.
The Yaris has so many names in other places.
Weird.
Like it was called the Vitz somewhere and the Echo somewhere,
Oh.
and then the that and the Yaris. I mean, for a while it was sold. It was not sold here.
Yeah.
Like I remember when the Yaris was only in other markets, and
Yeah.
we got the Echo.
Yeah.
That looks cool.
Yeah. It's the Toyota Fortuner.
That's cool. It's
That
for
is
tuners.
cool. For tuners. Oh, it looks much worse in the first generation though.
Yeah.
Ractus.
All right. And
All
then
right.
we got the Passat, which
Yeah, the B6 Passat, which was of the least my least favorite Passats. And then actually, basically
from then to now.
Then to now, they have all been bad. So
yeah. And all right, I think that's all of them.
That's all of them.
So are we doing a?
Yeah, let's do an FMK real quick here.
Okay.
Okay.
I always forget I always forget not the rules but the strategy here because I always give you something really obvious. So.
No, there's no strategy here. You just seat of the pants.
All right, I'll go first.
All right.
Saturn Relay. Could you scroll down a little? Buick Terraza.
Okay.
Chevrolet Uplander.
Jesus fucking Christ.
All right, so you gotta to recap the rules. This is Fuch, marry, kill. So you're gonna crush. You're gonna Fuch. You're gonna Fuch one. You're gonna drive it once. You're gonna daily one, and then you're gonna.
Well, this
crush
is just.
one.
I should have laid out some rules for this one. Oh my god. I'm going to
Take your time, Christopher. Although the clock is ticking.
The clock is indeed ticking. I am going to. Boy, this isn't even Sophie's choice. This is just like they're all so bad in the same car.
You're gonna want to live with the one with the best interior, which I don't know which that would be.
I mean, technically, isn't the Buick supposed to be nicer? But it's probably exactly the same. So I guess I'll marry the Buick. But
Okay.
But I have to go F first. So
Yeah.
I guess I'll F the Chevy Uplander because I mean, there's nothing special about that. But the Saturn Relay was rare.
So you're gonna crush the Relay?
I'm gonna F the Relay and crush the Uplander.
Oh, okay.
And then marry the Buick Terraza because I assume that it's going to be nicer, but I cannot confirm.
Oh.
So
I'm gonna say this is a wrong answer.
What? You
Yeah.
can't. There's no such thing as a wrong answer.
Here's what you do.
Yeah. F them all.
No.
Kill them all.
You do what you did, but
Yeah.
you drive around until you see a Montana.
Oh my
Therefore,
God.
you could die and be spared from all of this.
They didn't list it here. There's no Montana.
Oh, you're right.
Weird, because they don't want you to die.
Yeah. Maybe.
All on the same page.
Yeah.
Okay, so for you,
Yes.
I'll go the other way. The Maybach Accelero, the Gumpert Apollo, and the Hummer H3.
Ooh. There's a car called. Anyway. Okay. I will drive the Apollo once. I will daily the Accelero, and I will crush the H3.
All right. That's uneventful. I guess all reasonable answers. All reasonable answers.
I mean, you could tell me I'm wrong.
You are completely correct.
Oh, okay.
All right. Amazing. Another riveting.
I'm imagining the Accelero interior to be all like razor blades and stuff,
Yep.
so it's probably very
I mean,
annoying.
it looks like an art deck, like a steampunk.
It does. It looks like
evil like villains. Like it looks like it came out of
Batman the
Batman,
Animated Series.
yes.
Yeah, I love that show.
Oh my god. I swear like one of the villains drove something like that. But
I think the Batmobile kind of looked like that, but also all the villains
Yeah.
drove stuff like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, another riveting episode of
Batman the
FM
Animated Series.
Okay, I don't remember what this. Anyways, okay.
It's fine.
I think that's a podcast as well. So
Yes.
thank you for listening. Follow us on Instagram at
Yes. New for 96.
New for 96. And that's it. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.